country should be saying you're not allowed to breed until we've got all the dogs and cats out of the shelters.
The public shelters, they cannot refuse if people want to take the animal to their shelter. The environment full of stray animals getting worse.
Taiwan became the first no-kill country in East Asia after it banned the euthanasia of stray animals in 2017, to the delight of animal lovers across the world. Today, pet dogs and cats outnumber human newborns, and the pet industry in Taiwan is booming. But is the reality all it's cracked up to be? Join us in this episode as we dive into the undercurrents in Taiwan Exposed and get to see where pets come from and where they go.
它叫小太子，贵宾狗，111年1月2号生的，3岁。
当初是想说找不要太大只，也不要那种很小只的，就刚好选到像柯基柴犬，刚好我们家附近有专门在饲养柯基的犬舍，去到犬舍看，刚好就对到眼，就觉得就是它。
它叫浅浅，在国外的时候遇到它的，因为刚好我那时候在国外旅游，然后就是无意间逛到宠物店，然后想说。 一个人单身7年有点太久了，然后找个宠物陪自己。
它叫 Low 吧，它长得比较特别一点，就可以带出去玩，一起露营啊。我是在社团上面，就刚好想要养狗，然后有人 po 出来说要换人接手这样子。
There's no question that many in Taiwan see pets as part of their family. At a glance, we see cute puppies being walked in the park, kittens in cat cafes, and doting owners attending pet expos with their fur babies in strollers.
The dog stroller situation, you only see them in Asia, especially Taiwan. People love using dog strollers. And we have even supplements for pets. So those are all things that we usually get for our babies. So we treat them like babies, family members now. We have drop-in nannies, drop-in pet sitters, mostly for cats, because cats, it's very difficult for cats to leave their home environment. We also have boarding daycare, so the pet parents can send their dogs to another dog lover's house, apartment. So it's usually a one-on-one care. And the other one is dog walking. We walk people's dogs. So if they work late, they go out, we have walkers that can help pet parents walk the dogs. And we also have grooming. So we have drop-in grooming. So our groomers will come into your home if needed to wash your dog, bathe your dog, groom your dog or cats. And it's all very easy, done through an app, just online, any service that will come to you.
In 2024, Taiwan's agricultural ministry estimated that nearly 1.5 million pet dogs and over 1.3 million pet cats were being raised by families across the island, an increase of 50% compared to 2021. As Taiwanese are spending more on their pets, businesses are eager to tap into the growing market, from pet product companies to exhibition organisers catering to pet owners' needs. Taiwan's pet industry exceeded 60 billion NT dollars in 2024, showing the market's ongoing expansion.
这4-5年市场其实商机非常大，包括很多友善的空间，不管咖啡厅、餐厅，包括宠物饭店、民宿，其实都雨般春笋后的出来。以前宠物展1年不到10个展，现在变1年20几个，就是表示是蓬勃发展。
But does spoiling pets with luxury mean they're truly being cared for responsibly?
Yeah, we actually try to educate the owners as well when we take care of them. So we run into this a lot, like they're not feeding their pets right. Like if for cats, we have data that suggests that if you feed your cat dry food their entire lives, they may get kidney problems later on. So you should feed your cat canned food or wet food early on. And this can prevent kidney issues later on. So this kind of stuff not every owner knows. So we try to educate them when we take care of them, because we see that they're feeding them dry food. We see that they're not playing with their cats for 15 minutes a day. So it's really bad for their mental health. They should play at least 15 minutes a day but a lot of pet parents don't know yet. And same with dog walking as well. But you should walk your dog at least once a day. The best is really 3 to 4 times a day, because they need to go out, just like how humans, we need to go out. It's really bad for their mental health if they don't go out and sniff. Just like how we need our phones, we need to get entertained. Dogs and cats, they need that as well.
The pet breeding industry is also thriving. As of March 2025, there were 1,640 legally registered dog and cat breeding businesses in Taiwan. And while many pets receive the best care at home, countless others are born into neglectful and inhumane conditions.
我们今年有多了一个新的家人，就是乐乐，然后它是柯基，今年大概3到5岁左右。它是从恶性的繁殖场里面被拯救出来的狗狗。那个时候只有一个极小的笼子，然后里面关了很多，可能有5、6只跟乐乐一样的柯基在里面。它们底下就是非常杂乱的，就是一堆排泄物都在那边，就是一个环境非常糟糕的一个不良的繁殖场。他们后来恶性倒闭之后，然后有人就请那个善心的人士去把它全部一批的救出来，然后我们才有机会在网络上面领养到乐乐。医生也有说，就是它的乳头是有被拉长过的，而且有发炎的状况，就上面会黑黑的这样。那通常乳头是被拉长的状态，就是它有哺乳过，就是它是拿来有生小孩、生其他狗，所以乐乐应该就是拿来当做专门生产其他狗狗的工具这样。觉得乐乐真的太可怜了，它的后生必须由我们来继续好好的爱护跟守护它。
I can go to a pet shop in Taipei, and if I was to sneak around the back, I would find horrific conditions of dogs and cats in little cages producing unhealthy litters. And I would tell anybody, do not buy a purebred dog. When you're breeding animals, you are narrowing the gene pool, which of course means poorer health. For us to have so many purebred dogs available, there has to be a factory farm somewhere producing them. And we're not seeing many purebred dogs and cats being imported to Taiwan, which means they're all being produced in Taiwan. We find so many breeders, so we know it's happening. And pet shops are all linked to breeders. So they don't want to import them.
So on average, we receive about 700 to 800 cases each year, new cases. And what we call it is improper rearing of animals. So with these pet ownership, what we find, top 10 complaints, improper sheltering, no clean water, unkept environments, or long-term chaining of dogs or caging of pets. So these are quite common cruelty, neglect incidents that we receive every year. So, in our opinion, our cases are in the numbers of cases we receive are increasing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the cruelty is increasing. Perhaps it means that more people are beginning to be aware of the issues. So they start to recognize what's happening around them and what the animals are going through. So they're choosing to report. It could also be that. But for example, abandonment though, it is still a problem. So if you go to the public shelters across all of Taiwan, you will see a lot of pedigree dogs. The small purebred dogs are actually still being abandoned by their owners. They are for sure abandoned because they're purebreds, they must have been bought, right? So you actually still see those types of dogs in the shelters, which means abandonment is still for sure an issue.
Legislator Guo Yuqing is the founder of the Animals Wellbeing Alliance, a bipartisan initiative in the Legislative Yuan dedicated to raising awareness about animal welfare.
在关心动保的时候，我可能会在脸书上去讲说我去了哪一个地方，我把哪一只米克斯救出来，那他们可能就知道说我跟收容所其实也许会有一些连结，然后甚至会问我，你可以介绍我怎么样去领养柴犬吗？哇，其实我就觉得，为什么还要特别挑品种？台湾只要经过哪一些 电影相关跟狗狗相关的，举个例子来讲，像 Eight Below， 所以after some time many of these dogs like husky， 它可能就电影下档之后，我们就会在街上看到很多这样子的狗狗出现，这个是我们在面临最大的一个问题。
While many people seek purebred dogs for their perceived traits, mixed breed dogs come with their own unique advantages.
Yes, actually, this is the message that we keep telling people. Mixed dogs are smart, and adult dogs, they're more stable compared to the puppies. So it's easier to communicate with the adult dog. Oh, by the way, a mixed breed dog, they're much healthier than pure breed dog. They don't have a genetic disease, so it's easier to take care of them.
While puppy mills were still manufacturing new lives to be sold at pet stores, one local veterinarian was so distraught with having to euthanize countless healthy stray and mixed breed dogs that she took her own life using the same euthanization drug. In 2016, that veterinarian, Jian Zhicheng, left behind a note asking people to recognize the value of the animals' lives. Taiwan's no-kill law had been passed by the legislator at that time, but didn't come into effect until after her death.
One of the steps that could be seen as progress is that the government banned euthanasia in 2017. What we're seeing now is the government shelters are getting overcrowded, so it is having another indirect impact with them dumping all the strays that are neutered, that they've had in their shelters, they're dumping them back on the street. And with TNR, you're supposed to put them back in the location they came from, but a lot of TNR in Taiwan is just dumping a dog or cat that you've rescued and putting them back outside. We don't think animals should be euthanized just because people are being irresponsible. But then the cure is teaching people to be responsible, neutering your cats and dogs, microchipping them, not getting one that you can't take care of, making sure you know how to take care of the dog or cat in your care, and knowing that you can take them to a shelter if you can't take care of them anymore. There's so much more you need to do before you can become a no-kill country.
Why there are so many stray dogs on the street? Because many Taiwanese people, especially those who live in the mountain area or remote area, they will just let their dogs free roaming on the street without spay their dogs. So their dog will having baby with the other dogs. That's why we couldn't decrease the number of stray dogs, and that is very important. And I think it's so hard to change the concept of those people to spay their animals, because they think spay is not good for their health, but the fact is not that. It's not like that. So neuter the animal is always better for cats or dogs. It's so important. If you don't let your dog or cat roaming on the street, that is the only way we can decrease the stray animals' numbers. Okay, fully euthanasia ban. I'm not sure what is the situation before the laws, but the only thing I know is that after the euthanasia ban, the stray dogs and the stray cats number increased incredibly. Because the shelter, we cannot put a dog to sleep, and before the law, the shelter can put a stray animal to sleep if after 7 days no one wants to adopt the animals. But after that, the shelter cannot put the stray animal into sleep. I know the public shelters, they cannot refuse people if people want to take the animal to their shelter. So the environment for the stray animals getting worse. Most of the public shelters, they are very crowded, and the environment is like really, really filthy. If you have been to any public shelter, of course now the animal welfare, the concept of the animal welfare started to increase. So I do believe the public shelter, they're trying to do something different. But still, most of the public shelter, the environment is really, really bad.
Yeah, that happens when you have overcrowded shelters, not enough manpower, not enough volunteers, and also when you don't see the importance in walking a dog. We know that a lot of government officials, they actually don't make that a priority at the shelter. They see just keeping the animals alive, feeding them, giving them water, it seems to be enough already, which is totally not true, right? So what we're trying to do at the SPCA is since 2016, we've been bringing volunteers to the public shelter every single weekend. And all we do is walk the dogs, you know what I mean? Because that's so important for the animals' health and welfare. But without volunteers, it never gets done. So I think that's a huge problem with public shelters even now.
会有零安乐这个措施上路，也是因为有很多人说这个安乐根本不安乐，它是用一个比较残忍的一些方法去消失掉这些从街头捕回来的流浪动物，这样子就是说他当初2017年上路的时候，当然它是一个美意啦，它是一个好的一个方向，但衍生的一些其他的一个问题就是我们在各地的收容所 ，there's no space for the shelter， 对，就是空间不够，这个是非常严重的一些问题。但是现在其实也并非完全的零安乐，应该怎么讲？在收容所里头，他们还是会去评估，比方说这个狗狗如果有严重的疾病。那不管是繁殖场出来的，或者是街头游荡的，或者是说它是被车祸，或者那是没有办法再经过医疗之后再让人认养的，那当然也是会排在所谓的可能被安乐的这样子的名单当中当初2017年推动的这个零安乐的这个政策会不会过早？我觉得可能是当时的配套没有完全我觉得很多的配套的措施是必须要一起做的，比方说我们可能先要去管理私人的这个爱妈的狗场或者是他们的收容所，然后去做严加的管理控管，我源头我可能要好好的来做繁殖场的部分的控管取缔，或者是说甚至开发，能不能够有这个魄力去做这2块，然后之后我们是再来执行安乐死，也许会比较更加的恰当
Although euthanasia is no longer practiced, animals remain far from safe. Overcrowded shelters have resulted in many pets being released directly onto the streets. These abandoned dogs and cats often become victims of traps and snares intended for wild game, suffering gruesome, slow and painful deaths.
Of the 225 dogs in our care, 235 whatever it is, over 80 of them have lost a limb. The bulk of my time is spent trying to rescue dogs or cats who've lost a limb, mostly dogs. And traps and snares are the laziest ways of catching animals. They're also extremely cruel and indiscriminate. So you might be thinking you're putting traps out to catch a pig, but you can catch monkeys in them, you can catch protected species, you can catch dogs and cats and even people. I had a friend who stepped in traps. His dog was in a trap and he was trying to get his dog out. He didn't know that the area they were in had like 8 traps in it and he got them on both hands. So yeah, there's poachers trying to get food to eat or sell, and there's farmers trying to use them as a way to keep animals off their crops. When they're using traps and snares, it's extremely cruel and they're catching the wrong animals. And we know, because we do surveillance, we put cameras up, and we know when someone's put up a trap or snare, and we know when they've been back to check it. It's often 2 weeks or more. There are a lot of weekend hunters, they go out and put them out the weekend. They might catch an animal that day, and the animal's hanging there if it's a snare in the trees or it's by their foot, and it will slowly just cut through their foot over the week. And whether that's the target animal or not, it's a horrific way to treat animals. That's how bad the trap and snare situation is in Taiwan.
The reason there are so many traps and snares is that the farmers, they don't like wild animals to eat their
Crops.
or tangerines or oranges. So they think putting down those traps and snares will scare the animals away, but actually it won't, because the animals will just step 1 time and twice and 3 times. They don't know to avoid that. They just like to be in the area they're used to.
Traps and snares became illegal recently.
The well-being of animals rests entirely in our hands, and simply refraining from setting traps and snares is nowhere near enough. Overcrowded shelters and abandoned pets means that countless animals are left to fend for themselves. If we truly want to protect them, we must do more. Responsible pet ownership starts with education, understanding the commitment, risks and impact that our choices have on these animals' lives.
Yeah, I do wish for pet ownership there's a better education, more accessible education for owners to be responsible. Why a lot of our users they adopted their pets because they learned. They actually tried to learn before adopting a pet, because adopting a dog or cat is so hard. So they have to learn how to take care of them before adopting. They have to submit a very long application. But for buying dogs, it's very easy, just cash. You don't need anything. You can just get the dog, walk away, and get rid of the dog whenever. So you don't have to be as responsible. So if there are more policies in place to ensure responsible pet ownership, I think this would make a very big difference in terms of impacting animals' lives, reducing the amount of stray animals and shelter animals. Shelters are packed in Taiwan. So there are many, many things that we can do. So even just to educate them, buying ethical breeding is fine, but we need to educate the pet owners not to abandon them if they get sick. They need to learn this dog comes with great responsibility. You have to pay the medical bills. It's very expensive. So we as pet owners, we should all know that before buying or adopting a dog.
With pet abandonment still a serious issue, it's crucial for potential owners to fully understand the responsibility of welcoming a dog into the family. Let's explore how one team is working to find the right homes and give these dogs a second chance.
We have our unique system called Pet Academy to rehome the dogs. Why we have this kind of system to rehome the dogs is because we know that nowadays in Taiwan, many people know that adopt instead of shop a dog. But what people didn't notice is that before they have a dog, they don't know what is the situation will be to have a dog in your house. Like the dog might barking or biting, or they might have like separation anxiety. Those kind of situation never occurred in their mind. So when this kind of behavior issue happen, they don't know what to do. They will just return the dog to the shelter. But return the dog to the shelter, it's not just bad for the dog, it's also bad for our shelter either. So we want to decrease this return rate. So that's why we create this system, this rehoming system. And we believe that there is no perfect dog, but there is always a perfect match for human and a dog. So the main idea of this system is match. It's not like, oh, you go into the shelter, oh, you think the dog is cute and you take the dog back home. No, it's not like that. Dog and human like us, we all have different personality. For dogs, they have their personalities as well. So the main idea of the system is match. And we have run this system for over 3 years. And so far, so good. Our return rate is 0, which means all the dogs we send, they are all living a happy family. But we may not like the other shelter. They can rehome a dog like 40 or 50 for a year. No, we're not like that because we are very careful about our rehoming system. So like For these 3 years, we rehomed around 60 dogs. So like annually is around 20 to 30 dogs.
As Taiwan's pet industry continues to grow, so do the challenges that come with responsible pet ownership. While luxury pet products and purebred preferences shape the industry, overcrowded shelters and abandonment persist. The national no-kill policy may have ended euthanasia, but it hasn't ended suffering, and Taiwan's no-kill label can't hide deeper problems. As the country continues moving forward, true compassion for animals will demand stronger laws, responsible owners, and a society that refuses to look away.